is Talking to My Thoughts.
I guess it's interesting, like going. I always love like hearing people's thoughts about it, because I almost think that if somebody hasn't even thought about it for long, they always go through this journey where they're like one person, and then by the end of it they're another person. So at first you actually mentioned like your ego was almost your like a friend, something that you use, and then it becomes actually it's not really ego, it's more self-belief and doing stuff that you are setting the best example, where you actually have to put your ego in the back seat, which is what I think a lot of people have a confusion about, is that they think that their ego is their friend because it's what drives them. But actually you can have drive without being egotistical about it, in a sense.
But I think, do you know what it is? I think that the word ego and egotistical are different. I think ego doesn't always relate directly to you being egotistical. I think ego can just be the thing that you hold, that for me, ego and I think self-confidence or self-belief are almost synonymous. Almost. I know it's different, but I think when you become egotistical, that's because you're full of too much ego. But I think there can be a certain level of ego that you can possess that allows you to have confidence, but also allows you to have humility. I think when you have too much ego, that's when you become egotistical. Because what's happened now is that the ego has inflated too much. The ego is taken over and there's no humility left, if that makes any sense.
But that's the piece. You see that post that you said inflated. So you could have self-belief. This is where you are, self-belief. But when you inflate it, where you're almost beyond what you actually believe in yourself, then you're almost like overreaching into other places, in a sense. So yeah, I think that key word that you said is inflated is a key part.
But if I'm really, really honest with you, it's only when you asked me this question today that I thought about the word ego. I haven't actually spent much time to consider the semantics of the word ego before. It's only since you've asked me today the question where I've been like, okay, ego. And I just spoke kind of freely. But once again, once I've thought about it, I still maintain my opinion. I still think that ego, I think, because ego comes from a Latin word, right? It comes from a Latin word, yeah? And it means what again?
It means I.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I. And for one to say, consider themselves or speak about themselves as I, it's not for them to speak about themselves as high and mighty. It's just me giving you I. My ego is I. My ego is me. Who am I? Have I got too much ego? Have I got too much I? Is there too much of me? Am I too full of myself? Or is my I at a level where I can give you confidence, but I'm also I've got enough humility to display to you that actually I am not so much caught up in my own belief of myself that I can't hear what you're saying as well, or I can't take in. Or actually, Aaron, you're really good at that, but you could do this as well to be better.
Men's ego. I think I see ego a little bit different to everybody else. Like, I don't see ego just about you being cocky or you being a bit aggressive. Actually, I see ego in a sense when you think your opinion is a fact. When I kind of discovered that your ego can also be when you think you know everything. Your opinion is a fact. You know better, or you know people better than they do. All of that is incorrect. Your ego will actually be your greatest enemy, or probably is your greatest enemy. It stops you from receiving your blessings. It stops you from connecting with people properly. It stops you with connecting to the world properly and understanding it. It can cause you a lot of pain. I'm not sure where our ego really comes from. I guess we have this human nature to want to control things. So if we can just start acting like we have the power of predicting, then we can control our environment, right? Nobody wants to walk in unsurety, but all we do is walk in unsurety. When I first discovered about like our ego being more than just I guess as the title says, am I a dickhead? When it was more than just that, I really started to discover things about myself. All the things that I believed about myself that were negative or weren't pushing me in the right direction, I had to let go because my ego thought I knew myself better. I question that because if I knew everything about myself, would I really put myself in bad situations? Would I really allow bad people in my life? Would my life ever be bad? So clearly there's something I don't know. The most freeing statement I ever had in my life was, Craig, what if you didn't know everything? And what if you didn't even know everything about yourself? Because when you begin to understand you don't know everything, then you have no expectations about the world. And when you don't know everything about yourself, you can become whoever you want to be. You no longer say, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm shy, I can't do public speaking, I can't model, I can't do this field, I can't do videos. But now look at where you are now. When you've let go of you assuming or predicting and thinking you know everything, you've been able to become greater than you ever thought you could be. So I question about ego. We act like it's our best friend and we use it as our main tool. Almost like when we speak to people, we face a situation, our ego steps in first before we even allow our heart to step in. So I have a different mindset about our ego, and I'm not trying to make it my best friend. I'm trying to put that in the back seat. I'm trying to overcome it properly and understand I need to control my ego because it doesn't serve me. It's like use the fire, but don't burn yourself. So use the fight, use the eagerness, use the strength and power you have in yourself, but don't let it overcome you to think that you know everything and in every single situation that you're going to be right, because you're not. What is happening is expectation. You have an expectation as to how people will speak to you, how people will treat you, and how people are going to say something to you. But so because of that expectation, you are setting yourself up for a letdown. You're not actually just there saying, okay, you know what, I know myself, I know this, I'll go into the world. Because you know what, we probably have abuse thrown at us all the time. It's like somebody coming up to you, Sam, and they say, oh, you're a black man. You're like, a duh, kind of thing. But if they say you're an angry black man, then you're like, rah.
It's true.
But the thing is, if you was peaceful about yourself and you didn't have that inside of you, you'd be like,
what are you talking about?
Then you walk away. So then that's again, the attack. What you're saying is probably pretty interesting because you're saying it's an attack, but actually that's why I said to you that ego to me was your greatest enemy, because a lot of it is actually inner conflict. It's not actually much to do with the world at all. The world is just going to be the world as it always is. Actually, a lot of it is to do with inner conflict. A lot of it is actually to do with the fact of you are unsure about yourself. So you're trying to tell the world, no, look, I want you to talk to me this way, and then you need to make sure you don't say this to me or you don't do this to me, and then I'll be okay. But actually, you need to be like, well, actually, how about you take more control? So no matter what the world does or what it says, I won't be affected. I won't be shaken, and I won't allow my my ego or what I believe about myself to be overinflated. Because what you're doing is you're basically what I class it as the lack that you have inside yourself. You will basically overcompensate on the outside. So you're overcompensating on the outside, trying to fill yourself in. So when you're trying to, I don't know, like somebody steps to you on the street kind of thing, you could just walk away. But you know in yourself that if you walk away, you have a feeling in yourself that you look like a dickhead. It's true. But the thing is, actually, if you just knew for yourself that you're a grown man, I don't know, I have children, like this is petty. What's the point of me even getting into this? They just want to express themselves. You can just walk away. But then there's a part of you, if you haven't learned it yet, you're thinking, right, but if I walk away, then I'm gonna look like a dickhead to everybody else. Once again, everything is about outside of yourself. But if you have a control of yourself, what do I need to do? Is this part of what I need to do for today? No, I just need to walk away, go about my business. Doesn't matter what everybody says or thinks. So I like the fact that you said it's an attack on yourself, because it's a reflection of you. Because if you was controlled in yourself and you was confident about who you are, again, as I said, the difference between calling you a black man versus calling you an angry black man, maybe you'll have no effect, or maybe you will have an effect. But if they pick on something that you actually have an unsure about within yourself, you're suddenly going to start to overly inflate yourself and be like, nah, and then you need to start overcompensating and doing some other things in other areas.
I think that's how I picked up the word. That's why when I heard the word ego, I initially associated with insecurity, and I think that's where it played into. It's like
100%,
because you act upon that and the way you react to your ego, you essentially are insecure. Because as we're talking about, you're confident. You need to be confident in yourself. You need to.
Some of the most egotistical people are the most insecure.
when you're looking at this
Yeah.
is your reality in your mind, your unconscious reality is this is what it's meant to be. So that's when you start throwing your expectations about what the world should be like. And if the world doesn't meet that expectation, that's when your ego starts getting touched.
100%. Because some people realistically think that consciously, unconsciously, I am the greatest thing ever. And you need to be respecting me as the greatest thing. And the reason why I say ego can be positive is also because, bro, there are some people that have that level of ego, and bro, they do well with it. If you believe something about yourself so much, you can make everybody believe it, bro.
Yeah.
Kanye West believes that Kanye West said, my presence is a present. And he made people believe that, bro. Some people think that Kanye West is the biggest genius in the world. And albeit Kanye West does have genius to his level of creativity, but is he the greatest mind of our generation? I don't think so, bro. He's very flawed, but he believes it himself. And sometimes when you believe something about yourself so much, others around you and others can start to believe it too. And it happens to a lot. I've seen a lot of people that are so egotistical that it's carried them right to the top. But the problem is, it's a dangerous place to be. Because when you believe you're greater than, even maybe greater than, I don't know if you're religious or not, but greater than who has created us, it's a dangerous place to be. Because that rise to the top will be an even more horrid and horrible fall to the bottom, bro. You understand? And you won't know how to deal with it because you don't understand why someone as great as me can actually fall off. How can I fall off when I'm so great? That can happen to anybody. And that's where we need the humility.